It was a dark day. The castle burned down, and the villages were destroyed, all because the mad dog made a pact with Lucifer. Our protagonist, Cain later, was a foolish man to trust the mad dog of this country. Cayenne, you idiot, echoed in our protagonist's head as we see the rebel leader, Yahello Reston, looking down at his fallen comrade. Ah, shit. I probably should have lived a simple and ordinary life, instead of just being someone who listens to commands like a good boy. You motherfucker, Cain, wake up. Cain, listen to my voice. Keep your eyes open. Cain, the fallen knight, had met his end. But the story doesn't start here, so keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. A step, then another. Into the blue void. No weight, no pain, finally. This is what it feels like to be free. The starry sky stretches forever. Beautiful, empty, just like a slave's life without a master. Cain later looks back at the world he left behind. He walks toward the horizon. He served a mad emperor until his last breath. He died a hero, but all he wanted was to disappear, to become nothing. A faint smile, a moment of peace. The red eyes of the knight Cain later drift shut. Peace at last, or so he thought. A sigh. The silence of the void is broken by a spark. A ripple in reality. Fate isn't done with him yet. Unlucky, very unlucky. Something is pulling him back. The light is blinding. It's warm. It's loud. It's annoying. Why can't he just stay dead? Mana surges. A new body. A new breath. The universe decides to recycle a soul that just wanted to rest. Capitalism, but for reincarnation. Low-key, disrespectful. Awakening. The red eye opens, wide and terrified. The darkness is gone, replaced by a room he doesn't recognize, and faces he never wanted to see again. The first person he sees is smiling. A blonde man full of joy, Yahello Reston, the rebel leader who killed Cain's master, his enemy. Yahello is laughing. Would you like to hold him, father? He asks. Wait, father? Cain's soul is trapped in a tiny, useless body. This is a nightmare. Hands reach out. Warm, large. The hands of the man who ended Cain's previous life. Now, they are the hands of a grandfather. Tragic irony at its peak. Yahello Reston looks at his youngest grandson with pure love. He has no idea he's holding his old rival. Cain's dignity is evaporating by the second. Low A10 experience. Would not recommend. The Duke is confused. The baby is crying. Not just crying, screaming. Wailing with the fury of a betrayed soldier. Cain's only weapon is his lungs. Karen Reston. That is his name now. Born into the very family he once fought. The humiliation is physical. The screams are the only thing he can control. Tears stream down his face. A hero reborn as the grandson of his nemesis. If this is God's plan, Cain has a few complaints, serious ones. 10 years later, the Duke's estate stands tall. A symbol of power. A golden cage for a soul that wanted to be dust. Karen is growing up, and he's not happy. In the library, a professor reads from a history book, glorifying the past. Glorifying a hero named Cain later. Karen listens. His skin crawls. Imagine being forced to study your own fan fiction. Cringe. The professor pauses. Something is wrong. The air in the room is getting heavy, cold. He looks at his student and sees something terrifying. Karen sits at his desk. And your own view, professor? He asks. His voice is calm. Too calm for a 10-year-old. He's listening to lies about his own death. Quiet rage is simmering. The professor stammers. He's teaching a legend. But the boy in front of him looks like he wants to rewrite the book with the professor's blood. The tension is palpable. Karen leans back. The world calls Cain later a hero of loyalty. Yahello Reston turned Cain's death into propaganda. A tool for the Duke's legacy. Karen hates it. He hates all of it. Karen Reston, 10 years old, third son of Yahello, the family's pride. But inside, he is still the mad dog. And the mad dog doesn't like being used. Not again. Never again. The professor is sweating. He can't understand why this child's gaze feels like a blade at his throat. The boy is a genius. But his eyes, they aren't those of a child. Karen's eyes are cold. If they want to use his name for glory, he'll use it for their destruction. He'll be the trash that rots this family from the inside. Bold strategy. Let's see if it works. The silence is heavy. The professor is paralyzed, sensing a predator behind a child's mask. He doesn't know it yet, but his entire lecture was just dismantled. The professor is sweating. One 10-year-old just dismantled his entire lecture. This is what happens when you try to teach a legend about his own life. Karen flips a page, bored. History is always written by the victors, and victors are usually liars. He should know. He was there. The professor looks like he's seen a ghost. He has. He's staring right at a soul that refuses to be forgotten. Getting ratioed by a child, truly a tragedy. Karen closes the book. The lesson is over. The truth is much uglier than these pages suggest, and much harder to stomach. The professor can barely breathe. The boy's gaze is heavy, suffocating. It's not the look of a student, but of a judge passing sentence. Why do you look so rattled? Karen asks with a sharp, mockery-filled smile. It's the look of a predator playing with its food. The professor has no answer, one step at a time. Karen leaves the library behind. His silence is louder than any argument. He walks through the halls of the Duke's estate, luxury built on blood and lies. Every stone here is an insult to his memory. He looks at the blue mana stone in his hand, a small spark in a dark world. He holds it tight, feeling the familiar hum of power. He finds his father, Pale Reston, a man who is a financial genius, but a ghost in his own family. He is the only reason Karen hasn't burned this place down yet. Pale is staring at a shelf of trophies, reminders of a magical power he will never possess. In this house, weakness is the only sin that isn't forgiven. Karen clears his throat. The trash of the family has arrived. He watches his father's posture shift, defensive even in his own home. Pale turns, his face lighting up with genuine warmth. It's the only real thing in this entire building. It's almost painful to look at. Karen? What brings you here? Pale asks. He's always surprised by affection. It's a sad commentary on his life as the disappointment of the Duke. Pale apologizes immediately. For his lack of mana. For not being strong enough to protect Karen from the family's cruelty. The guilt is etched into every line of his face. He looks at Karen with such kindness it borders on pathetic. It's disgusting how the Duke has broken this man's spirit. Karen won't let it stay broken. Pale is terrified of the upcoming awakening ceremony. He doesn't want Karen to feel the same crushing shame he lives with every day. He has no idea his son is already a monster. Karen smiles. A real one this time. He doesn't need a father with magic, he just needs a father who stays. Pale is more than enough. Pale still looks guilt-ridden. The Duke's influence is a poison that runs deep in his veins. He truly believes he's a failure. Imagine being that wrong. Pale pulls him into a hug. It smells of old paper and desperate love. And you're the greatest, he whispers, holding on like Karen is his anchor. Which he is. He squishes Karen's cheeks, laughing softly. It's embarrassing, but Karen lets him. Being a kid is a full-time job, and the pay is mostly cheek-pinching. Low-key annoying, but okay. Sunset falls over the estate. The sky is the color of a fresh bruise. A fitting backdrop for the House of Reston. Tomorrow, the quiet ends. Karen lies in bed, staring at the mana stone. It glows with a cold blue light. Tomorrow is the awakening ceremony, the day the Duke's plan starts to fall apart. Karen stares at the ceiling, eyes wide and freezing. He won't be their hero, he'll be the mad dog that rips their legacy to shreds. And he'll enjoy every second of it. He closes his eyes, seeking the phantom weight of real iron and the heat of blood. His past life is calling. The memory of Cain later begins to bleed into the present. A memory of the past. A training ground baked in sun. This was Cain Latour's life iron, sweat, and the constant threat of death. He wasn't a hero then, he was just a survivor. He watches the sparring matches with a cold, analytical eye. Even then, he knew the difference between a soldier and a killer. He was always the latter. A young Yahello Reston smiles, the golden boy of the revolution. He had ideals. Cain only had a blade. They were two sides of a coin that the world was about to toss into the fire. Sparring with Yahello was a game of chess played with blunt iron. One fought for glory, the other fought to feel alive. They were brothers in arms, bound by a war that didn't care for their names. Cain never backed down. Even as a slave, his spirit was unbreakable. Yahello saw it, everyone saw it. That's why they feared him as much as they loved him. A challenge accepted. The wooden sword feels like a toy compared to the chains he once wore. He moves with a grace that hides a terrifying lethality. Fast, heavy, ruthless. The memory burns in his mind. The intensity in his eyes hasn't faded, even if the body has changed. A warrior's soul trapped in a 10-year-old skin. It's a tight fit. Yahello gives a thumbs up. A gesture of respect from a different life. Little did he know, the man he was praising would one day be reborn as his own flesh and blood. Tragic irony. Present day. Karen Reston sits on the edge of his bed. The sun is rising on the day of his official awakening ceremony, but he doesn't need a ritual to find his power. Mana begins to ripple through the air. It's not a trickle, it's a flood. Blue light spirals around him, cold and hungry. The room itself seems to tremble. Karen stands, bathed in a terrifying blue aura. His eyes glow with the strength of 100 mages. He's not just awakened, he's transcended. Low-key cheating, but he'll take it. I already finished my magic awakening ages ago, he sneers. He's been hiding a nuke while the family treats him like a firecracker. The ceremony tomorrow is going to be a bloodbath of ego. The journey begins. They leave the countryside behind, passing through ancient cities. The scale of the rest and wealth is everywhere. Every wall, every tower, built on the backs of people like Cain. A massive magic train huffs steam at the station. Steampunk luxury for the elite. It's a long way to the Duke's estate, and Karen has a lot of time to plot. Fasten your seatbelts. The family stands on the platform. Pale and his wife look proud, completely unaware of the monster they're raising. Karen puts on his best excited kid face, method acting at its finest. His mother smiles down at him, her hand on his shoulder. She thinks her little boy is just excited for a train ride. She has no idea he's calculating the structural weaknesses of their family tree. I knew it, Karan shouts, acting like a wide-eyed brat. It's nauseating, but necessary. The best way to hide a wolf is to put it in a sailor suit. Big brain moves. Pale laughs, leaning back. He's happy to see his son enjoying the life he never had. Karen watches him, the only person he actually feels sorry for. This is going to hurt. The parents share a quiet, hopeful look. They want Karen to be their savior, to restore the family's honor. They're halfway right. He's a savior, just not the kind they're praying for. Karan sits by the window, his expression shifting as soon as they turn away. The mask slips. The cold, ruthless night returns. The train is moving, and there's no turning back. The train snakes along the dangerous cliffside, moving toward the heart of the Empire. Moving toward the man who stole Cain's peace. The Duke is waiting. Poor guy. Karen watches the world fly by. The landscape is beautiful, but all he sees is a battlefield. He is a soldier returning to the front lines, disguised as a child, silent and deadly. Inside the cabin, his mother is lost in her book. Karen catches her reflection in the glass. He wonders if she'll still love him when the trash finally reveals its teeth. Probably not. The Reston family's main estate looms ahead. A fortress of cold stone and unchecked arrogance. It's more of a prison than a home, but soon it'll be a cage for the Duke himself. It dominates the skyline, a monument to the Duke's absolute power. This is where Yahello lives, and where his control finally ends. Within these walls, the puppet is about to cut his own strings. Karen sits in the silence of the train car. The destination is near, and so is the storm. He's done being a child. He's done being their puppet. The Duke, the knight, and the child. Yahello wants to worship a hero's ghost, but Cain just wants to be left alone. Karen? He's the bridge between them, and he's planning to burn it down. He smiles. It's not the smile of a 10-year-old, it's the baring of teeth. The mad dog is finally awake, and he's hungry for more than just a ceremony. Pale senses it first. The room is heavy. The air is vibrating with a mana that feels less like power and more like malice. Low-key terrifying for a dad to witness. Pale is paralyzed. He sees a stranger in his son's seat, a monster wrapped in golden hair. He wanted to protect Karen, but now he wonders if anyone can. Cain's soul roars with a promise. I'll make sure your troubles are in vain. Yahello wanted to build a legacy on Cain's sacrifice. Karen is here to turn that legacy into ash. Talk about a bad inheritance. The blue mana erupts. It's dark, sharp, and absolute. He is no longer a student or a grandson. He is the living consequence of Yahello's obsession. The mad dog has found his teeth. Eyes like freezing oceans. Cold. Ruthless. Focused. The time for hiding is over. The time for the trash of the Reston family to show the world how truly filthy they are has begun. The train grinds to a halt. The gates of the main estate loom ahead. Welcome to the nightmare, Yahello. Your favorite grandson is home, and he's brought a war with him. The iron engine screeches to a halt at Azure Sea Fortress. Home. Or rather, a den of wolves waiting to tear apart anyone without fangs. Pale Reston and young Karen step onto the platform. Heinrich, the Duke's head butler, waits for them with a gaze as sharp as a razor. Behind him stand the Sea Wave Knights, cold and unmoving. Heinrich bows, a hollow gesture of respect and a house built on power. In this family, a bow is just a way to hide the eyes that are judging your worth. Karen scans the knights. He doesn't see soldiers, he sees weapons, and he knows exactly how to break them. The knights shift. They feel it. A faint, impossible ripple of mana coming from a 10-year-old boy. The failure of the family shouldn't be able to breathe this heavy. High above, the Duke's shadow looms over the fortress. Yahello Reston is waiting. The man who killed Cain later is about to meet his own blood. They are led deeper into the fortress. Each hall is a monument to a hierarchy that has spent decades spitting on Pale for being born without magic. The grand waiting room is a cage of gold, a place designed to make the weak feel small and the forgotten feel even smaller. Karen stands alone in the center of the room. He isn't impressed by the luxury. He's counting the exits, identifying the targets. He looks out at the Duke's city, drowning in the gold of the setting sun. It looks like a kingdom. To Karen, it looks like a graveyard. The peace is broken by a voice dripping with arrogance. Leo Reston, a cousin who thinks his birthright gives him the power to look down on everyone. Leo's smile is slow and ugly. He sees a defenseless child and a father he can trample. He has no idea he's stepping into a trap. Leo moves closer, the air of superiority thick around him. He thinks he's the predator here. It's almost funny how wrong he is. The insults begin. Leo calls Pale a mere commoner who only knows how to count money. He spits on the only man who has ever been kind to Karen. Karen's eyes shift. The mask of a quiet, harmless child slips. Something dark and ancient begins to stir beneath the skin. Leo freezes. He feels a sudden, ice-cold pressure in his chest. For the first time in his life, his body is telling him to run. Karen lets the mana leak out, just a little. Just enough to show Leo what a real monster looks like. He smiles, and it's the grin of a mad dog. Leo stumbles back, his bravado shattered like cheap glass. He's staring into the eyes of a 10-year-old and seeing his own death. Weak, useless, forgotten. Karen has heard it all before. Now, he's going to make them eat every single word. The soul of the mad dog isn't just back, it's hungry. And Leo is the first course. The silence in the room is heavy with a dangerous promise. The aftermath of the accident brings them to the Duke's office. The air here is thin, suffocating, and filled with the judgment of the heirs. Raphael Reston, the second young master. He doesn't care about family, he only cares about the strength of the hand holding the sword. Pale looks down, the weight of years of humiliation bowing his shoulders. He doesn't know that his son is already carving a path through this den of wolves. Pale tries to defend his dignity, but his voice is thin in a room that only hears the roar of mana. Logic is a crutch for the weak here, and truth is just wasted breath. Tails Reston keeps his eyes closed, sensing the heavy shift in the Duke's cold attention. The air is thick with anticipation, waiting for the final judgment, or a sudden fracture in the silence. Raphael scoffs. How pathetic. In this house, weakness isn't just a flaw, it's a sin, and Pale is the ultimate sinner. The silence is shattered. A servant rushes in, his face pale with news that doesn't belong in a house of stone. Something has happened, something impossible. Panic is a loud noise in this quiet fortress. The servant's eyes are wide, reflecting a chaos he wasn't prepared to witness. Tails and Raphael don't move. They just watch. They are predators waiting to see what has dared to disturb their territory. The news is delivered. Leo has been found. Raphael doesn't wait for permission. He moves with the sudden violence of a storm. Rage is the only language Raphael speaks fluently. His stride is heavy, meant to crush anything in his path. His face is a mask of pure fury. He expects an apology. He expects submission. He's about to get neither. He finds them. Leo is a heap of broken pride on the sofa, clutching his face. Karen stands over him, untouched and eerily calm. Karen looks down at his hands. He isn't scared, he's just calculating. In this world, if you don't bite first, you're the one being eaten. Raphael lunges. He doesn't see a child, he sees a threat that needs to be broken before it can grow fangs. Be brother. Pale screams, throwing himself into the fray. A father's desperation is the only thing faster than a knight's anger. Pale sees the disaster unfolding. His son is a target, and his family is a firing squad. He's spent his life trying to avoid this moment. Raphael grabs Karen by the throat, lifting him off his feet. But Karen's eyes don't flicker with fear. They burn with a cold blue fire that shouldn't exist in a 10-year-old boy. The room is a powder keg. Pale begs for mercy, oblivious to the fact that his son is the most dangerous person in the room. Tails watches from the side, silent and gauging. Tension vibrates in the air like a pulled wire. Karen looks at Raphael with a chilling curiosity, as if he's deciding which part of the night to break first. Heinrich watches from the shadows. He is the Duke's eyes, recording every failure, every spark. He knows where this ends, in blood. He closes his eyes for a brief moment. The hierarchy is shifting. The outcasts are finally pushing back. Pale pulls his son away, shielding him with a body that possesses no magic. It's a beautiful, useless gesture in a world that only respects power. Karen, talk to me. Are you hurt? Pale's hands tremble as he checks the boy. He sees a victim. He doesn't see the predator standing right in front of him. Raphael turns away with a growl of pure disgust. He won't kill a child in front of witnesses, but the debt is now written in stone. Karen watches him go, memorizing the shape of his target. The blue in Karen's eyes doesn't fade, it just sinks deeper into the bone. He's finished acting. Now, he's hunting. They move toward the heart of the beast, the Duke's office, a place where lies are decided with a single word and discarded with a single glance. Yahello Reston, the man who holds the leash. He sits in the darkness, a king of a rotting empire, waiting to judge his blood. Yahello Reston doesn't need to shout to be heard. His silence is a weapon that has crushed better men than these. He looks at his family and sees only disappointment, until his cold gaze settles on the child. The group enters the lion's den, the air heavy with the scent of old blood and new secrets. Pale begins to plead for mercy, his voice a frantic attempt to save his son, but the Duke isn't listening to the man, he's waiting for the boy to make his first move. Yahello Reston watches the boy with a predatory curiosity. He hasn't seen a spark like this in decades, and he's wondering if it's a gift or a curse. It's because, Karen begins, the lie is ready before the truth even has a chance to breathe. In this house, honesty is a death sentence, only the clever survive. In this office, every breath is a calculated risk. The heirs wait for a verdict that will shift the family's hierarchy forever. Karen stands small, but the shadows he casts are long. The Duke slams the table, a crack of thunder in a room made of glass. He isn't interested in excuses, he only wants results. Raphael flinches. He spent his life fearing the man behind that desk, and that fear is the only thing keeping him from drawing his sword. Heinrich stands as a silent witness. He's seen the Duke break men for far less than what Karen has done today. He wonders if the boy knows how close he is to the edge. Karen blinks. The Duke reveals he's known about the boy's mana for 3 years. The secret he fought so hard to bury has been a joke to the old man all along. The room freezes. 3 years. 3 years of the boy acting like a weakling while his mana burned right under their noses. The betrayal of the family's expectations is absolute. Yahello laughs, a sound that has nothing to do with joy. It's the sound of a predator finding a new toy that might actually be dangerous. Karen stares back, his mind racing to adjust. The game just moved into a higher gear, and the Duke is the one holding all the cards. And then, Yahello asks? He wants to know how far the deception goes. He wants to see the monster beneath the skin. Karen smiles, a bright, innocent child smile. It's a terrifying mask, a reminder that the person standing there isn't a child at all. It's a legend in a cage. Yahello isn't buying the act. He leans in, his eyes searching for the killer he knows is hiding behind those blue eyes. He sees the potential for a weapon or a rebel. The doors creak open, and the evidence of Karen's enthusiasm finally arrives. The air in the room turns stale with the smell of medicine and shame. Yahello Reston is a walking monument to pain, wrapped in bandages and broken pride. He looks like a victim. In this room of predators, that's the worst thing you can be. The brothers stare at the wreck of their cousin. This wasn't a playground scuffle. This was a message written in bruises, and everyone in the room has read it. Sniff, I'm sorry, grandfather. Karen breaks into tears. The transition is seamless. The performance is perfect. He's a child again, small and helpless. Leo can't even speak. He's looking at the boy crying and seeing the devil himself. He wants to scream the truth, but his throat is frozen with terror. He remembers the eyes. Those cold, murderous eyes that didn't belong to a human. He knows the tears are a lie, and that's what scares him the most. The truth looms over the room like a physical weight. The mad dog is out, and it's wearing the face of an angel. Karen is no longer a victim. He's the architect of their fear. Yahello watches the performance with a dark satisfaction. He's found a successor who knows how to use both a sword and a mask. The bloodline isn't dead, it's just become more deceptive. Karen wipes a tear, the perfect picture of remorse. Behind him, Leo is trembling so hard he can barely stand. The power dynamic of the Reston family has just been rewritten. The Duke rubs his temple. The drama is exhausting, but the potential is intoxicating. He has a new piece on the board, and it's more capable than all the others combined. As night blankets the Azure Sea Fortress, the silence is heavier than usual. Beneath the cold moonlight, the gears of the Duke's ambition are already starting to turn. Heinrich stands before his master, watching as the Duke's gaze lingers on the empty seat where the boy just stood. The pathetic child isn't just a monster, he is exactly the kind of weapon Yahello has been waiting for. Yahello Reston raises his glass to the shadows. He's found a spark in the ruins of his family, and he intends to fan it until it burns everything to the ground. Heinrich stands ready, the perfect tool for a master who has just discovered a new weapon. The pathetic child is now the Duke's most intriguing project. In this house, power is the only vintage worth drinking. And tonight, the air is thick with the scent of a long-overdue rebellion. 3 years, the Duke muses. The boy didn't just hide his mana, he hid his soul. To be a master of deception at 10 years old, Yahello can't help but be impressed by the killer in his blood. The office falls into a predatory silence once more. The decisions made tonight have set a chain of events in motion that no one, not even the Duke, can stop. Outside, the moon watches over the azure sea fortress, a silent witness to the moment a child's mask was traded for a monster's face. Deep in the forest, far beyond the reach of the Duke's walls, the shadows are beginning to move. Something ancient is stirring. A forgotten relic sits in a clearing of bone and stone, an altar of secrets, untouched by the petty politics of men, waiting for a master. A rune begins to glow with a cold blue light, a perfect match for the eyes of a boy named Karen. The world is finally waking up, and it's hungry for blood. Midnight at the Duke's estate. A silence that tastes like iron. The Reston family gathers in the ancient forest, a procession of wolves in human skin. At its center, a 10-year-old boy, Karen Reston. Small, fragile, dangerously calm. The air is heavy with mana and expectation. This is where status is decided, or buried. Every eye is a judge. Pale Reston watches his son with a heart full of terror. Karen doesn't feel the cold. He only feels the itch of a soul that has lived too many lives. They stop at the sacred clearing. The stage is set for a trial of blood and spirit. The Vowstone sits on its pedestal, a silent executioner waiting for its next victim. Yahello Reston steps forward. The Duke doesn't ask for results, he demands them. To him, a grandson is just another tool. If it breaks, it was never worth keeping. Pale stands helpless. A father's love is a weakness in this den of monsters. Karen looks at the stone. He knows what's coming. He's been to hell before. The Duke raises the ritual artifact, the signal for the nightmare to begin. A spark of ancient power ignites. The forest screams in silence. A pillar of blue mana pierces the night sky. The gates to the rift are forced open. Pure energy floods the clearing. It's beautiful. It's lethal. The onlookers flinch. The pressure of the Reston bloodline is suffocating. A rift tears through reality. A portal to a dreamscape built on a child's suffering. Pale reaches out, his voice trembling. Karan, are you really okay? Karen smiles. A soft, perfect lie to comfort a man who cannot protect him. He turns toward the light. Fear is a luxury he burned away a lifetime ago. Destruction isn't a challenge for him. It's a vocation. Yahello watches with narrowed eyes. He expects to see a child break. One step across the threshold. A cold, deliberate move into the dark. The light swallows him whole. The world of the living fades, replaced by the bitter scent of a past that refuses to stay buried. Heat, smoke, the smell of burning meat. The Vowstone greets Karen Reston with his own worst memories. A hallway of corpses. His former life was a graveyard, now he's forced to walk through it again. Every step is a betrayal. Every shadow is a ghost of a man he once knew. Their eyes are open, accusing him. They died for a mad emperor, and Karen was the one who led them to the slaughter. The weight of 10,000 deaths shouldn't fit in a 10-year-old's chest, but Karen has been carrying it for centuries. The throne room lies ahead, a path paved with the broken bodies of his brothers in arms. His breath is short. His skin is slick with sweat. The past is clawing at him, trying to pull him under. The massive doors pulse with a sickening red light. Behind them sits the source of his misery. Blood stains his shoes. In the Reston family, you either walk through the blood or add to it. He looks up, searching for an exit. But there is only the ceiling of a burning tomb. This isn't a trial, it's a funeral, and he's the only one left to mourn. He pushes. The doors groan, heavy with the weight of unatoned sins. The throne room opens, a cavern of fire and silence. Empty, cold, except for the one thing he never wanted to see again. A shadow looms over him, a darkness birthed from his own blade. He stares at the throne, at the weapon that once defined his existence. The air turns to ice. That, his voice fails him. A vision of the past. Cain later, the Emperor's mad dog, holding the sword that drank the world dry. A voice echoes in the void. Infuse your mana. It's a trap. A demonic blade that eats souls. Ruin. The sword that doomed his first life. Yahello Reston purified the evil, but the curse remains in its soul. The ghost of who he was stands behind the boy he is. Two monsters sharing one heart. His hand trembles. He clenches his fist. He isn't that dog anymore. He won't be collared twice. Another ghost appears, a reminder of the brotherhood he lost, the life he wasted on a lie. He looks at the weapon that once ended his world. A tool? A curse? Or the key to his rebirth? The decision is made. He is no longer a child fleeing from shadows, but a survivor stepping into the fire to claim his prize. He reaches out. The sword isn't just metal, it's a piece of his own fractured soul. His eyes ignite, not with fear, but with the cold light of recognition. He takes what belongs to him. The connection is absolute. The boy is gone, and the mad dog is reborn in the fire of the ritual. Pure mana floods his lungs. It feels like drowning. It feels like coming home. Through the haze of power, the truth reveals itself. This isn't just a demonic sword. Guillotine. The execution sword. A weapon meant to end kings, not protect them. He doesn't just hold it. He claims it. The blade shivers under the touch of its true master. History forgot this weapon because history was written by those afraid of it. But Karen isn't afraid. The surge is violent. It wants to tear his small body apart. He refuses to break. His muscles scream. His skin burns. But the mad dog doesn't know how to let go. He smiles. A jagged, terrible thing. The pain is just proof that he's still alive. The pressure settles. The storm becomes a servant. He stands amidst the ruins of the illusion. The demonic echoes scream one last time before falling silent. They recognize the monster in front of them. The blade calms. A deep, abyssal blue. Azure clarity isn't just mana, it's authority. He looks at the edge, sharp enough to cut through fate itself. He is no longer a child playing in a duke's garden. He is a predator in a nursery. The silence returns, but the weight of the air has changed. Everything is clear now. He looks into the heart of the storm. "You're the blue dragon, aren't you?" He doesn't ask. He identifies. He doesn't care about guardian spirits or family legends. He only cares about the power they can give him. The blade is light in his hand. Perfect. Lethal. Exactly how he remembers. It really was that? A simple realization. The family's greatest secret is now his weapon. He readies the strike. He's tired of this dream. It's time to wake the world up. One swing. He doesn't just cut the air, he shears through the fabric of the vow stone itself, shattering the cage of his past. Outside, the forest holds its breath. The assembly stands frozen, waiting for the stone to deliver its final judgment. Pale Reston waits in the silence. He knows his father's mercy is reserved only for the strong. Yahello Reston looks on, cold and indifferent. To him, the boy is either a tool or trash. Pale catches a glimpse of movement, a flicker of hope in a forest made of shadows. The vow stone begins to fracture, a sacred relic dying under the weight of an impossible power. The Duke freezes. This wasn't part of the plan. The stone shouldn't be breaking. It should be opening. A mana explosion rips through the clearing. The ritual isn't just ending, it's being executed. The shockwave forces them back. The pride of the Reston family is being torn apart in front of their eyes. The boy stands among the shards. He didn't just take the test, he broke the judge. Karen Reston looks up, scratching his head. He plays the confused child perfectly. It's a mask he'll wear until he's ready to kill. He smiles. It's the face of a 10-year-old, but the eyes belong to a monster. Silence falls over the forest. Yahello Reston looks at his grandson and realizes one thing. The mad dog is finally home. The ritual site lies in ruins. Karen Reston stands in the center of the destruction, holding the impossible. Silence is the only sound that fits. Panic sets in for the onlookers. The mana explosion was enough to kill a grown man, yet the boy is still breathing. Karen plays his part. He giggles, acting like he doesn't understand the chaos he just caused. It's a perfect performance. Yahello Reston watches. He is a man who weighs souls by their utility. Right now, his grandson is weighing heavy. Karen laughs, swinging the sword, guillotine. 10 years old and already breaking the family's most sacred relics. Iconic behavior. The blade hums with blue mana. Guillotine was wiped from history for its cruelty. Now, it has found a new home. The Duke stands with his shadow guards, a cold authority that demands submission. Karen doesn't flinch. Yahello's eyes narrow. He doesn't see a child anymore. He sees a weapon that finally works. The laughter stops. Karen stares at the steel, his eyes as cold as the blade itself. The mask is slipping. Yahello looms over him, a predator recognizing its kin. The atmosphere is suffocating. A small, satisfied smile. Yahello has found what he was looking for. The bloodline is safe. Cold blue eyes. Yahello has made his decision. Karen's life of leisure is officially over. The Stone of Oath is gone. A new covenant is sinking into the darkness, vowing to a future written in blood. The shadow of the Duke looms, One is a master of the present, the other, a master of the future. Yahello raises his hand, a silent command that shifts the weight of the entire estate. Everyone listens. The declaration is made. Karen Reston is the successor to the Spirit Sea style. The room collectively forgets how to breathe. Envy is a loud emotion. The other heirs can't believe a brats just stole their birthright, coping mechanisms in full effect. They check on him now. Fake concern for the boy they used to mock. Strength changes everything. Raphael Reston watches from the sidelines. His eyes are filled with a poisonous kind of curiosity. The sword reflects the hatred in the air. Raphael sees the power he lacks. It's a bitter pill to swallow. A hollow pat on the head, a gesture of pride from a family that never showed it. Karen feels nothing. Yahello turns to leave. The test is finished. The training will be hell. Exactly how Karen likes it. The Duke and his entourage depart, leaving the dust to settle. The dynamic of the family has been shattered forever. Raphael looks back, the cold reality of a shifting hierarchy finally sinking in. He is no longer at the top of the food chain. Pure rage is the only thing keeping his resolve from shattering. He stares at the boy, silently swearing that his wounded pride won't let this stand. Raphael Reston tries to swallow his pride. It tastes like ash in the back of his throat. Quiet rage doesn't stay quiet for long. His mana hums with a resentment that threatens to boil over. Raphael stands with Zerus Winterguard, the Knight Commander of the Seawolf Knights. Zerus is a man of status, and right now, a 10-year-old child is making that status look like a joke. The ritual is over. The reality of the new order sets in as Karen Reston walks among those who once saw him as nothing. Farewell at the station? A journey begins, fueled by a legacy long suppressed by fear. Pale Reston looks at his son. He sees a future he never dared to dream of, and the sight of it fills him with dread. A father's pride. It's just a thin veil over a father's helplessness. A pat on the head for the monster in the making. Karen smiles. He knows exactly what he has become. Heinrich adjusts his monocle and bows. The gears of the Duke's estate are turning again, precise and cold. Final instructions are given. A new mentor waits at the fortress. The name Sabina Reston carries the weight of the White Wolf. Karen absorbs the information. No emotion, no hesitation, just data to be used later. Sabina Reston departs, a legend leading the way into the frost of the Blue Sea Fortress. One last moment of domesticity. It feels as fragile as glass in a storm. The guards stand ready. The Duke's eye, through Heinrich, is everywhere. There is no escape from this path. Pale realizes the distance between him and his son is now an ocean. The realization hits him like a physical blow. Tears. The only honest thing left in this place. Karen watches his father, a child with the soul of a survivor. A smile to remember him by. Pale tries to be the light in Karen's darkening world. It isn't enough. Last contact. The warmth of a hand against the cold steel waiting at the end of the line. Farewell tours are so 10th century. Just get on the train, Karen. The train pulls away. It's moving toward the fortress where innocence is slaughtered to make room for power. Stone steps lead up to the Blue Sea Fortress. Each step is a choice to leave mercy behind. Heinrich watches every movement. He is looking for a flaw in the product. He won't find one today. Karen doesn't look back for comfort. He looks back to memorize the faces of those he will one day replace. The butler's gaze is clinical. Through the monocle, Karen is just another subject to be analyzed for potential. The mad dog is focused. The training won't break him because he's already seen how this story ends. Through the gate. Into the mouth of the wolf. Let the real education begin. The hall doesn't welcome guests, it swallows them. Heinrich leads Karen toward a future paved with cold stone and hard lessons. Every step is a calculation. Heinrich is a veteran of this estate. He knows the weight of the air here. Karen leans into the role, rubbing hands, licking lips. The mad dog act is essential. If they think you're crazy, they won't look for the genius. He runs ahead with a wave. A final glimpse of childhood before the training strips it all away. Childish energy used as a smokescreen. Heinrich watches from the shadows, his sharp eyes missing nothing. Ahem. Heinrich adjusts his monocle. Satisfaction is a rare emotion for him, but today, it feels earned. Blue mana leaks from the door like a warning. Something powerful is waiting inside, something that doesn't play fair. The boy stops. The air changes. The transition from acting to survival happens in a heartbeat. The entrance is a mouth. Karen stands at the threshold of his new life, small but unyielding. Respect is a mask. He enters and greets the room as the son of Pale, a name they currently mock, but one they will soon fear to speak. Sudden pressure. The atmosphere in the room isn't just heavy, it's an active threat. Karen's instincts scream, a half smile in the shadows. This is Sabina Reston. She doesn't just sit on a throne, she presides over a graveyard of failed expectations. The White Wolf. An 8-star master who uses mana to hold back time itself. She looks young, but her aura is ancient and cold. Sabina's gaze is clinical. She isn't looking at a nephew, she's looking at a new toy to break. Karen smirks back. It's the look of a man who's already won, playing a child's game. Tension level, maximum. He stands alone in the center of the hall. One boy against a room full of legends. He likes those odds. From her height, Sabina watches. She's waiting for the crack, waiting for the fear to show. She'll be waiting a long time. Poor Leo Reston. He's huddled on the floor, shaking. He's the baseline for normal, and normal is about to get hurt. Leo is literally us trying to survive a Monday. Absolute vibes. Karen approaches. The predator finds the weakest in the pack, not to kill, but to observe the fear. Sabina leans her head on her hand. Boredom is her default state, but Karen is starting to prove interesting. Her blue eyes are sharp. She notices the way Karen moves. No wasted effort, no hesitation. This isn't a 10-year-old. Karen speaks, and Leo's terror only grows. The gap between them isn't just skill, it's a difference in nature. One is a sheep, the other is a storm. Zerus Winterguard stands behind the throne. He reports what he saw at the ritual, but even his words can't capture the reality of the boy standing before them. The report is complete. Sabina doesn't care about the details, she only cares about the potential, and the potential is terrifying. Extreme close-up. Sabina sees it now, the monster under the skin, and she is absolutely fascinated. Let the fun begin. The lesson begins, not with words, but with weight. Karen Reston sits in the center of a storm of his own making. The mana isn't a gift, it's a flood. He has to learn to breathe while the world tries to drown him. He's doing just fine. 2 boys, 1 predator. Leo Reston is already drowning in the air, while Karen just watches the wolf in front of them. Sabina Reston stands. When an 8-star master moves, reality tends to buckle under the pressure. She unleashes the pressure. A physical wave of mana that turns the air into lead and the floor into a trap. Leo breaks instantly. The gap between them isn't just talent, it's the willingness to suffer. Leo's mana management is basically my bank account at the end of the month, non-existent. Karen doesn't flinch. The pressure hits him like a hammer, but he remains the anchor in the storm. Sabina smiles. It's a sharp, dangerous thing. She's finally found a toy that won't snap on the first day. She looks at them, but she's only seeing one. The one who isn't begging for the pain to stop. Karen's mask slips. The mad dog is finally feeling the bite of a real wolf, and he's loving every second of it. Find the center, she commands. Dominate the sea or be swallowed by it. Sabina doesn't give second chances. Karen focuses. He's seen the end of the world. A little pressure from an ant is just a warm-up. Sabina's gaze is clinical. She isn't looking for family, she's looking for a weapon that can survive the forge. The white wolf is satisfied. She sees the darkness in his eyes and recognizes it as her own reflection. The Azure Sea Lodge. A quiet place for loud transformations. This is where legends are born, or where they go to die. Close your eyes. Dive into the ocean of your own power. Don't look for the bottom, there isn't one. Karen goes deep. Most people fear the dark, but he's been living in it for more lives than he can count. The sea domination technique begins. He sees his own heart, a beating drum and a rising tide of blue fire. It's beautiful and violent. Sabina's shock is brief but telling. Karen isn't just following the mana, he's taming it before it even knows he's there. No guide, no lighthouse. He's navigating the storm by pure, lethal instinct. Sabina can't believe her eyes. Sweat and pain. The price of admission for a monster in the making. He pays it without a single complaint. Sabina watches the impossible happen. A 10-year-old child is mastering a technique that breaks grown men in half. His body feels like it's being torn apart. Every vein is a river of fire. But his mind is a fortress. The mana current is violent, but Karen is the one holding the leash. He has become the master of his own suffering now, while everyone else in the room is just a victim of it. Sabina's eyes gleam with a dark, predatory excitement. She has found her monster, and the pressure in the room finally reaches the breaking point. Leo Reston collapses. The pressure was too much for a normal soul. Karen watches the boy fall with the cold indifference of a machine. Sabina Reston rushes to the broken child. She's checking for a heartbeat, but mostly she's checking for an excuse to stop the lesson. Karen doesn't give her one. She holds Leo's head, her expression uncharacteristically soft. In this house, weakness is usually met with a blade, not a hand. A long, slow breath. Karen isn't even sweating. He has mastered the ocean inside him while Leo drowned in a puddle. Sabina looks back at him. Her eyes are filled with a new kind of wariness. She's realizing that her nephew isn't just a genius, he's something else entirely. The lesson is over for today. One boy is broken, the other is just getting started. The hierarchy of the estate has shifted again. Karen looks down. He's already thinking 3 steps ahead. Sabina is just an obstacle to be cleared later. Karen, she says. Her voice is steady, but the pressure in the room hasn't fully subsided. Karen responds with a mask of perfect obedience. The training hall is silent. The barrels and weapons stand as silent witnesses to a child who doesn't know how to fail. Karen looks up, his blue eyes clear and empty of fear. The white wolf has finally met her match. Outside, the courtyard is a symphony of steel. The Seawolf Knights spar under the morning sun, thinking they know what power looks like. Swords clash. Men shout. It's a loud, honest kind of violence, a stark contrast to the quiet horror of the mana training. Zerus Winterguard watches the sparring, the Knight Commander of the Seawolf Knights. He is a man of pride, and pride is a dangerous thing to have around Karen. Karen walks past, carrying the guillotine sword as if it were a toy. Leo follows behind, still shaken. The Predator and his shadow. Leo is still complaining. He doesn't realize that the boy he's talking to isn't his friend. He isn't even his cousin. He's his inevitable ruler. Zerus bows as they pass, a formal greeting for the highborn heirs. But his eyes linger on Karen. He feels a chill that doesn't belong in the sun. Zerus freezes. The instinct of a seasoned warrior is screaming at him. There is a monster in the skin of a 10-year-old. Karen looks at him. The innocent mask is back in place. Big blue eyes. A gentle tilt of the head. It's a lie he tells with his whole body. Zerus stands tall, but the sweat on his brow says otherwise. He is the Knight Commander, but right now, he feels like an ant. Karen plays the part of the happy child. He walks on, leaving Zerus to wonder if he just hallucinated his own death. A cute smile. A friendly wave. The Mad Dogs is a master of the long game. Gen Z humor. Zerus is out here trying to be the main character, while Karen is playing 40 chess in his head. Rip. Zerus's gaze remains sharp. He knows what he felt. He knows that the air around Karen is poison. Leo looks confused. He's always the last to know anything. In a world of wolves, he is the designated victim. Karen stops. He looks back at Zerus, and in that silent exchange, a threat is born that requires no voice to be understood. The mask is perfect, but the shadow is growing. In the end, they will all bow their heads before me. A quiet, dangerous promise that leaves the air cold and heavy. Zerus Winterguard stands frozen. He is a master of the sword, but he just felt the weight of a true monster. He's realizing that his world of simple strength is about to be devoured by something much darker. The courtyard remains loud, full of men who still believe they are warriors. In the center, a 10-year-old child stands, a quiet void that will soon swallow them all. The era of the Mad Dog has finally begun. 3 years have passed in silence. 3 years of the Mad Dog sharpening his fangs in the shadows of the north. In the Azure Sea Fortress, the air is heavy with cold calculation. Sabina Reston stands before the Duke, her smile as sharp as a blade. She speaks of the boy, the one she was tasked to teach. 3 years of monitoring a child who should have been broken by now. Yahello Reston listens, his face an unreadable mask of authority. He sips his drink, letting the silence weigh down the room. Sabina's eyes narrow. The casual amusement is gone, replaced by unsettling realization. She describes his progress, his talent, and the unnatural speed of his growth. The fortress was meant to be a prison, not a cradle for a genius. She calls him a monster, a creature that threatens the balance of the entire Reston bloodline. She turns to Zerus Winterguard, the Knight Commander. She demands a witness to the boy's impossible evolution. Zerus hesitates, the memory of the last 3 years flashing behind his eyes. He has seen things a child should not be capable of. He confirms it. The talent, the attitude, the raw guts. Karen Reston is no longer just a boy. At 13, Karen has reached the 4-star magic realm, a feat that should be physically impossible for his age. Outcast? No, he's a predator in waiting. The commander's voice is steady, but the truth is terrifying. The Mad Dog has mastered sword styles that take decades to learn. Sabina shrugs it off with forced nonchalance. If he is a monster, then he is a monster they must eventually control. Or kill. She warns of the influence he will exert, a shadow that will soon stretch far beyond the walls of this fortress. Yahello pours another glass, the amber liquid swirling like the brewing storm. He is a man who values power above all else, even family. The meeting continues, a cold game of political chess where the pieces are living people. Sabina wants a leash on the boy. The Duke's gaze is predatory. He sees the monster as an asset, a weapon for the family's glory, regardless of the danger. Sabina smiles again, her mind already spinning a web of new intrigues. The boy's power is a double-edged sword she intends to wield. Her blue eyes are devoid of warmth. She isn't looking at a nephew, she's looking at a rival who must be managed. Yahello gives his silent approval. Let the boy grow. Let the monster prove his worth. Evolution is the only law. The terms are set. The shadows of the north will no longer be enough to contain Karen's rising flame. Sabina's gaze lingers. She knows that once a monster is unleashed, it rarely returns to its cage. The Duke looks on, the weight of the Reston legacy resting on his shoulders. He is curious to see who will survive the coming purge. The Azure Sea Fortress stands firm against the biting wind. It is a silent witness to a new era, but far to the south, another storm is already making landfall. In the capital, Pale Reston stares down a different rot, the poison of Koken. He closes the report, his face hardening into the mask he must wear for the world. A father's smile. It's a thin mask for a man watching his world burn from the safety of a desk. Pale Reston sits amidst a mountain of reports. The weight of the borders and the poison of Koken are crushing the life out of his domain. Heinrich stands like an unmoving shadow. He doesn't bring peace, he only brings data, colder than the northern wind. The room is grand, but the air is stagnant. Every scroll on that desk represents a new failure, a new threat to the Reston name. Heinrich's monocle reflects the cold light of duty. He reports on the boy growing too fast in the darkness of the fortress. A mission for Karen? Pale's eyes don't light up with pride. They flicker with a deep, instinctive fear. He considers the cost of sending a 13-year-old boy into the fray. A child should be a tool, but this one is becoming a weapon Pale might not be able to hold. Heinrich doesn't blink. He's seen the monster firsthand, and he knows that a formal report can't capture the boy's chilling resolve. Pale breathes out, the weight of his decisions hanging in the air. Relief, for him, is just another form of exhaustion. Trust is a luxury Pale can barely afford. Yet Heinrich is the only one left who speaks the truth without a hidden agenda. A laugh. It sounds hollow, echoing through the empty halls of a house built on secrets. Small jokes to hide the rot. A desperate attempt to believe that everything is still under control. But the world doesn't care about a father's hope. It only cares about the strength of the arm that wields the blade. Heinrich closes his eyes. Duty is his only anchor in a world that is slowly falling apart. A final, peaceful moment before the shift. The quiet is over. The storm is here. Back at the fortress, the peace is shattered by the sharp crack of wood and the grunt of a defeated man. Hans never stood a chance. Karen Reston doesn't just strike, he dismantles. His movements are too fast, too deliberate for a child. Hans, a man twice his size, is reduced to a heap of meat and sweat. The path of his sword was twisted by a will far stronger than his own. Even if bones break, Karen doesn't stop. Pain is just a reminder that he is still breathing, still fighting to survive this life. Hans is covered in bandages, his pride shattered along with his defense. He looks at the boy and sees something that shouldn't exist in nature. A thumbs up. Ironic. Cold. Karen is playing the part of a child, but his eyes remain frozen like the northern waste. Hans can only sigh. Being the training partner for a monster is a death sentence for the spirit. A sound in the distance. The gears of war are finally turning. The call has reached the fortress. Hans turns, the news breaking the heavy silence. The orders are in. The waiting is over. Deployment. A real mission. Hans is hungry for the fight, unaware that he's already being swallowed by the shadow of a monster who is just getting started. Leo Reston struggles to maintain his stance. The shadow of his cousin is already too long to step out of. He stares at the setting sun, knowing that no matter how hard he trains, some monsters are simply born, not made. In the capital, Pale Reston folds his hands in silent prayer. Or perhaps he's just waiting for the inevitable collapse. Heinrich approaches with a small pouch. In this world, the smallest packages often carry the heaviest burdens. The butler inspects the contents. Koken, a drug meant to rot the empire from within. The realization hits Heinrich harder than any physical blow. This isn't just crime, it's a declaration of war against the Duke's estate. Pale stares at the evidence. His quiet rage is cold, calculating, and dangerously focused on the source of this poison. Heinrich's monocle catches the light as his face hardens. Duty demands an investigation that leaves no stone unturned. Night falls over the Azure Sea Fortress. The guards walk their rounds, oblivious to the predator in their midst. Karen Reston moves through the shadows with a grace no 13-year-old should possess. He's not sneaking, he's hunting for an opportunity. A torch flickers in the distance, but the boy stays in the darkness. He knows exactly where Commander Zerus keeps his finest treasures. A prize taken. Zerus's wine is more than just a drink. Tonight, it's a key that will open a very important mouth. Karen slips away into the night. Stealing from a knight commander is child's play when your mind belongs to a battle-hardened veteran. He spots his target, Rohan Bellis. A desperate man is always the easiest to manipulate. Rohan is startled. He didn't expect a child to approach him in the middle of a military crisis. He's about to learn how wrong he is. The Baron tries to dismiss the boy, but Karen's presence is too heavy to ignore. There is no innocence in those blue eyes. A quiet hum of recognition. Rohan realizes this isn't a random encounter, it's an audience. Rohan introduces himself, unaware that Karen already knows his name, his mission, and his desperation. Information is the real currency of power. The guards watch from the background, confused by the strange meeting. They see a boy and a baron, they don't see the deal being struck. Karen offers a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. It's the face of a wolf wearing the skin of a lamb. It's perfect. Rohan listens, mesmerized by the boy's chilling authority. When Karen speaks, the air itself seems to grow colder. The contract is signed in whispers and whine. Rohan Bellis has found his savior, and Karen has found his ticket to the battlefield. Rohan stares at the boy in stunned silence. He came for help from the Duke, but he found something far more terrifying. The Azure Sea Fortress stands frozen under the winter moon. The pieces are in place, and the game is no longer just a training exercise. Inside, the candlelight flickers over a room filled with desperate secrets. Karen Reston steps into the light, ready to offer Baron Rohan Bellis a deal signed in blood and vintage wine. Karen Reston holds the bottle like a trophy. He's not offering a drink, he's offering a lifeline to a drowning man. Rohan Bellis hesitates. He can feel the unnatural weight of the boy's gaze, a pressure that shouldn't belong to a 13-year-old. Desperation is a powerful poison. Rohan looks at the boy and sees a savior, oblivious to the wolf underneath the skin. A sharp crack as the bottle hits the table. Karen doesn't ask, he commands the silence of the room. His eyes are cold, violet depths that reflect no mercy. He's tired of the pleasantries, he wants the truth. Karen leans in. Every word is a hook, sinking deeper into Rohan's resolve. The manipulation is flawless. The room feels small, trapped between a child's ambition and a man's ruin. Rohan has no choice but to talk. The predator waits for his prey to speak. Karen is patient. He's waited years for this moment of absolute control. A casual pose to mask the killing intent. Karen is a master of the stage, even when the audience is just one broken nobleman. He gestures to the bottle, a wink of irony. He's enjoying the fact that he's serving the commander's finest wine to a stranger. The liquid pours like liquid gold, a small bribe for a very large secret. Karen knows exactly what it's worth. Rohan drinks. He wonders if it's truly safe to accept anything from this child. He'll find out soon enough. Karen watches him with a predatory grin. He's already tasted victory. The wine was just the beginning. The door bursts open. The reality of the fortress intrudes upon Karen's private game. The fun is over. Zera's Winter Guard enters, a mountain of steel and discipline. He doesn't look like a man who appreciates his wine being stolen. The commander's eyes are sharp, scanning the room for any sign of weakness. He sees Rohan, and he sees the boy who shouldn't be there. Rohan panics, trying to explain the unexplainable. Zerus isn't interested in excuses, he's interested in results. Karen acts annoyed by the interruption. He was just getting to the good part, a child's tantrum, carefully played. Roland tries to apologize to Zerus, but the commander's focus has already shifted to the map on the table. The time for wine is past. Karen sits back, crossing his arms. He's listening now, absorbing the military details that Zerus is about to unleash. Zerus looms over Rohan, his presence demanding absolute obedience. He is the law in this fortress. The warning is clear. The enemy isn't just a pack of bandits. They are trained southern deserters. Professional killers. Rowan's face pales as the true scale of the threat is revealed. He came for help, but he found a war. Zerus's yellow eyes burn with an intense flame. He's ready to draw blood, and he expects the same lethal resolve from everyone in the room. Karen closes his eyes, a small smirk playing on his lips. Deserters? Perfect. They'll make for much better practice than wooden dummies and much better corpses. Zerus and Rohan stare at the boy. The question isn't whether he can fight, it's whether they can survive being near him. Karen smirks. He has the mission, the information, and the momentum. He's no longer playing a child, he's playing the master. The laughter is quiet, but it fills the room with a chilling certainty. The mad dog has finally been given a leash long enough to kill. Leo Reston. He looks at his reflection and sees a boy destined to be second best. The fear is already rotting his resolve. At the station, the reality of the deployment hits. Karen stands tall, while Leo shrinks into his armor. The gap between them is wider than the tracks. Zerus watches the boys with a heavy heart. He knows that only one of them is actually ready for what's coming in the south. Sabina and Zerus loom over the cousins, a mentor and a manipulator, both waiting to see which child will break first. Sabina's gaze is a trap. She doesn't offer comfort, only a choice that feels like a threat. This is the weight of the Reston name. The White Queen's smile is as sharp as a guillotine. She's calculated every move. If Leo survives, she wins. If he dies, she learns. The departure is a spectacle of power. The blue wolves are moving, and the world is about to feel their bite. Now this is exciting, Karen mutters. To him, war is just a bigger playground. For Leo, it's a graveyard. Zerus turns to the Baron. The formalities are over. The blood will start flowing the moment the train stops. Karen stretches his arms, unfazed by the tension. He's home in the air of impending violence. Leo can barely breathe. Leo's sweat is cold. He feels Sabina's eyes on his neck, pushing him toward a destiny he never asked for. You know it's more than just that, don't you, Zerus? Sabina's whisper is a promise of pain. She's not just sending them to fight, she's sending them to be forged. Her eyes are devoid of anything resembling family love. She is a Reston first, a mother and aunt second. Sincerity is for the weak. Zerus closes his eyes, accepting the grim reality. He cannot save them from themselves, or from the woman standing next to him. Leo hesitates at the door. One step forward is a descent into hell. One step back is total humiliation. He moves forward. Karen follows, his smile widening as he watches his cousin's despair. He loves the smell of fear in the morning. It's better than coffee. A chance to be proudly recognized as a member of the Blue Wolves. Sabina's voice is a siren call, leading Leo straight to the rocks. Yes, Leo shouts, the sound hollow and forced. He's trying to convince himself more than her. Karen just watches, amused. Shh, shut up, Leo snaps as Karen's laughter rings out. The cousin is at his breaking point, and they haven't even left the station yet. Karen leans in, his whisper a chilling knife to Leo's ego. He's going to dismantle his cousin, piece by piece, during this trip. Leo stares back, a flicker of something in his eyes. Is it resolve, or just the final spark of a dying spirit? We'll see. The magic train roars to life. The tracks scream under the weight of the monster and his shadow. The journey to the south begins now. The Azure Sea Fortress shrinks in the distance, its imposing walls finally left behind. For 3 years it was a cage, now it's just a memory. The mad dog is loose, and the world isn't ready for the storm he's bringing south. Sabina Reston sits in a cold, heavy silence. Beside her, Leo Reston is already losing himself to the weight of his own thoughts. Across from them, the air is suffocating. A local guide watches the nobles nervously, while Karen Reston sleeps like he doesn't have a single care in the world. A normal group trip where everyone is either traumatized, sleeping, or terrified. Just standard Reston family behavior. Leo stares at the floor, unable to escape. The ghost of his mother's expectations follows him everywhere, even at the edge of a mission. The memory takes hold. The same cold room, the same crushing pressure he's known his whole life. Yahello enters, her presence sharper than any blade. She doesn't believe in motherly warmth, only utility. To her, Leo isn't a son, he's a failing investment in a family where power is the only currency. Her voice is a scalpel, cutting away his self-worth with practiced precision. Why aren't you like him? Leo shuts his eyes, but there is no hiding. Her disappointment is a physical weight that anchors him to the ground. She speaks of Karen like he's a terrifying dream. A 13-year-old with 4-star mastery, a level most knights die before reaching. In this family, if you aren't a genius, you're invisible. And Leo has never felt more unseen. He can never be your rival, she sneers. It's not an observation, it's a sentence of inferiority. The words hit like a physical blow. Leo can only sit there and swallow the bitterness of being enough, but never the best. She sighs, the sound of a woman who has already written off her own child. Brutal is an understatement. He wears the face of a boy who has accepted his place in the dirt. but the quiet rage is starting to simmer. Present day. Sabina's voice snaps the memory like a dry twig. Leo reacts with the instinct of a soldier. Your first mission, she states coldly. No encouragement, no safety net, just the expectation of results. Sabina doesn't look back at him. She's only interested in the horizon and the blood that will inevitably be spilled there. Karen finally wakes up, looking entirely too bored for a child on his way to a massacre. Is it time yet? Sabina finds his lack of fear amusing. She sees the monster inside the boy, and she welcomes it. This is the White Empress. She doesn't lead men, she commands forces of nature. Karen gives a small, dangerous smirk. He knows exactly what he is, and he's done pretending to be anything else. Time for talk is over. Sabina stands, her resolve as sharp as the sword resting at her side. The train screams at full speed, but Sabina is finished with her commute. The door slides open, letting the freezing wind invade the cabin. She pushes off into the void without a single hesitation. Safety protocols? Sabina definitely swiped left on that idea. Sabina Reston leaps from the moving train with a parting message. Her grandnephews will handle the rest. She doesn't do normal exits. Speed and height are just suggestions to the White Empress. Leo Reston and the local guide can only watch in absolute horror. Watching a high-ranking noble choose gravity over a comfortable seat tends to have that effect. Karen Reston finds the chaos hilarious. While the adults panic, he laughs at the absurdity of it all. It's a good day to be a monster. The guide is still processing the fact that his client just exited a high-speed vehicle via the window. Leo is just exhausted by the sheer audacity of his family. Standard noble behavior, really. The train cuts through the frozen landscape of Bellis Barony. A cold mission is about to get even colder. The snow hides more than just the tracks. They arrive to find Rohan Bellis in a state of total decay. The Baron of this land is dying, his body failing him while his territory burns. The smell of sickness fills the room. Karen and Leo stand before the bedridden lord. The weight of the situation is heavy for Leo, but Karen's gaze remains chillingly detached. He's not here for a social call. Rohan Bellis clutches his cane, his eyes reflecting a man who has lost everything. He's more worried about the safety of these two children than his own failing health. A noble sentiment and a useless one. Karen puts on his best innocent act, scratching his head like a confused kid. It's a performance he's perfected. The monster is currently wearing a very convincing human mask. The guide remains close, but the atmosphere in the room is suffocating. This is a desperate plea for help from a man who has nothing left to offer but his gratitude. Karen listens as the Baron explains the bandit threat. He looks like a curious student, but his mind is already calculating the body count. He's looking for a challenge, not a hero's journey. Leo is the only one who actually feels the weight of the Baron's suffering. In the Reston family, having a heart is considered a serious birth defect. It's a burden he carries alone. Another coughing fit racks Rohan Belus's frame. Time is running out for the Baron, and the bandits aren't waiting for him to recover. The end is coming, one way or another. The silence that follows is broken only by the Baron's ragged breathing. Karen and Leo are his last hope. Poor man, he has no idea what kind of hope Karen actually represents. Karen checks in with Leo. He's ready to move. This room is too small for his ambitions, and the smell of death is becoming tedious. Shall we? Rohan Bellis can barely hold himself upright. The sickness is deep, and the burden of his land is heavier than he can carry. He's a king without a throne, waiting for the cold to take him. The guide tries to offer support, but the gap between the dying lord and the cold geniuses in front of him is vast. One is fading, the other is just beginning to burn. Karen has seen enough. The Baron's weakness doesn't inspire pity, only a cold realization of the power vacuum it creates. It's time to go hunting. They step out into the freezing bite of the Belus forest. The local guide leads the way, oblivious to the fact that he's walking into the woods with a predator. One wrong move, and he's the first course. Karen stops for a moment, his blue eyes scanning the white wasteland. Something is off. He can feel the eyes in the shadows. Finally, some entertainment. He smirks at the guide's back. Karen knows exactly where they are being led, and he's going to enjoy the trap. Nice woods, he thinks. Plenty of places to hide a body. Leo watches Karen, his unease growing into a physical chill. He knows that smile. It's the smile Karen gives right before things get messy. Very messy. What talk? Leo asks, sensing the shift in the air. Karan's playful tone has vanished, replaced by a razor-sharp focus. The child is gone. The mad dog is awake. They drift deeper into the snowy outskirts, the mountains casting long, jagged shadows over the path. The silence is heavy, the kind of quiet that only settles before the first drop of blood. The stage is set. Karen keeps the guide talking, his tone light and deceptively friendly. It's a flawless performance, hiding a mind that is already setting up the board for the game to come. The snow crunches under their boots. Karen leads the way with a calm that is starting to make Leo very, very uncomfortable. The forest is too quiet. He's cunning, isn't he? Karen chats about the guide like they're discussing a chess move. Leo is starting to realize the guide isn't the one playing the game. Karen knows the guide is a traitor. He's known since the first step. Keeping your enemies close is a tactic. Keeping them right where you can kill them is just good planning. They are the bait. Two noble sons, a snowy forest, and a greedy guide. It's the perfect setup for a kidnapping or a massacre. Karen prefers the latter. Karen looks ahead, his blue eyes fixed on the shadows. He's not walking into a trap, he's walking into a playground, and he's ready to play. The mask finally falls. The guide stops, and the forest comes alive with blades. A scarred man in a red scarf steps out, smelling a big payday. Poor guy has a terrible sense of smell. The guide takes his blood money. A pouch of gold for 2 noble lives. He thinks he's cheated the system. He's actually just purchased a front row seat to his own funeral. The bandits smirk. They see 2 kids and a bag of money. They don't see the aura of death beginning to radiate from the small one with the silver hair. Leo reaches for his sword. He sees the vermin closing in, his fear briefly giving way to the cold pride of arresting. But even he isn't prepared for what happens next. Karen's eyes ignite. A freezing blue fire that saps the heat from the air. The child is gone. The mad dog has finally slipped his leash. Miles away, the Bellis barony castle sits like a tomb in the mountains. A monument to a dying legacy and a desperate hope. Inside, Rohan is fighting for every breath. He's a man watching his world burn from a bed he can't leave. The helplessness is a poison of its own. He worries about the boys. He thinks the Empire is reckless, sending children to face Lin Haoang, deserters who have nothing left to lose. He thinks they are victims. Rohan stares out at the white waste. He knows the bandits are close, and he knows his own knights are too few. He's waiting for the end of his house. But then he remembers the confidence of the Blue Sea Castle. They wouldn't send mere children, not unless those children were monsters in disguise. He sees it now. The ghost of a young Duke Yahello in Karen's eyes, the same terrifying natural mastery of slaughter, a genius born with blood on his hands. Rohan can only hope his intuition is right, because if it's not, those boys are dead, and his territory is truly lost. He waits for the sound of steel. The waiting is over. Back in the forest, the silence is shattered by the scream of a blade. Karen's eyes are the last thing these men will ever see. It's not a fight, it's an execution. Karen moves in a blur of blue aura, Tensat massacring the bandits before they can even register the pain. One move, one kill. Precision over passion. The guide is the first to fall. He dies with the bag of gold still in his hands, his blood staining the coins he'll never spend. Bad investment. Very bad. Karen is a ghost in the snow, leaving only red footprints and cold corpses. Leo can only watch, frozen by the sheer mechanical efficiency of his cousin's violence. Another bandit falls, his final breath a puff of red mist in the freezing air. They thought they were the hunters, they were just groceries. The bald bandit gets a taste of Karen's steel. It's quick, efficient, and final. No one gets a second chance today. No one. The bandit leader finally realizes the easy payday was a death sentence. Panic takes over as he screams for a retreat, desperate to send word back to the main unit before the forest goes silent. He turns and runs, hoping the shadows will hide him from the silver-haired nightmare behind him. But once the mad dog has your scent, there is nowhere left to hide. The scarred bandit leader runs, but the mad dog's gaze is already locked onto his back. There is no escape from a predator that doesn't feel fatigue. Only the end remains. One final desperate scream echoes through the trees as the bandit tries to strike. It's more of a plea than a threat, a pointless one. He's so ridiculously slow. To Karen, this isn't combat, it's just cleaning up a mess. The gap in power is almost insulting. Karen's blue eyes are cold, reflecting the blood on the snow. He doesn't see men, he sees obstacles, and obstacles are meant to be removed. A single flash of blue light, and the leader's world goes dark. The hunt is over. The silence returns to the forest. The scarred man hits the dirt. The king of the woods is just another corpse now. Leo watches, his sword heavy in his hand, wondering if he's standing next to a boy or a god. Leo looks at his blade, his hand shaking. He's arresting, but this is something else entirely. This is a level of violence he wasn't prepared for. Bodies litter the ground like discarded toys. Karen stands in the center of the carnage, his breathing steady, his uniform barely stained. Efficiency is his only morality. The blue sea sword hums with energy, the blood of deserters sliding off its edge, a high-quality blade for a high-quality killer. Pure craftsmanship. Leo can't even look his cousin in the eye. He's starting to realize that the monster his mother warned him about was a massive understatement. The boy beside him is a catastrophe. We surrender. The bald bandit, Urha, throws his hands up. He's the only one left, and he's smart enough to know that pride is a luxury for the living. Karen smiles, and it's the most terrifying thing Urha has ever seen. The innocent act is back, but the blue light in his eyes hasn't faded. I have a job for you, Karen says. Urha is trembling, his life hanging by a thread of Karen's whims. He'll do anything. He has to, because the alternative is joining his friends in the snow. Leo is beyond confused as Karen orders Urha to tie their hands. The plan is simple, bold, and entirely insane. They're going to walk into the base as prisoners, Trojan horse style, but with children. They look like two helpless noble brats captured in the woods. Leo is terrified, but Karen is already playing the part. He's a natural actor, especially when the script involves blood. Aura leads them through the trees, sweating despite the cold. He's captured, 2 lions, and he knows that if he makes one mistake, he's the one getting eaten. Tough day at the office. The ropes are loose, but the illusion is perfect. Karen walks with a slumped posture, a perfect victim. It's almost impressive how quickly he can turn off the killing intent. Little brats, Karen whispers, reminding Urha of the script. Urha can only nod, his heart hammering against his ribs. He's a hostage-taker who is actually the hostage. Plot twist. Ur looks back, his eyes searching for an exit that doesn't exist. He's trapped between the bandit base and the silver-haired monster behind him. No good choices here. How? Urha wonders. How did a child learn to kill like that? How is he still so calm? The questions are endless, but the answers are too scary to hear. Karen keeps his eyes down, his mind already 3 steps ahead. He's not thinking about the capture, he's thinking about the people behind these deserters, the real targets. They walk deeper into the bandit territory. The snow swallows their footsteps, leaving no trace of the plan. Only the cold remains. Urha answers Karen's questions with a stutter. He confirms they are Onge deserters from the kingdom of CS. But something doesn't add up. Deserters don't have equipment this good. A mage. Karen realizes a high-level magic user is hiding among mere deserters, turning this raid into a calculated operation. Finally, a game worth playing. Why did you come all the way to this remote northern region? Karen's question hangs in the freezing air. He watches the fortress loom closer, waiting for the truth to reveal itself behind those gates. Ura leads them forward, sweating under the weight of his own lies. Behind him, the 2 boys follow in a silence that feels more like a threat than a surrender. They're almost at the gates. Karen's gaze doesn't waver. He's not looking at the gates, he's looking through them. Every detail, every guard, every weakness is already being catalogued in that cold, silver-haired head. They reach the hideout, a crude wooden fortress in the middle of a snowy void. It's the perfect place to hide a secret, or a massacre. Karen is fine with either. Urha pulls the rope, putting on a show for the eyes above. The noble brats are captured. The predator is inside the cage, and the prey is the one holding the keys. Ironic. Karen looks entirely too bored for someone being led to a bandit den. Leo, on the other hand, is finally starting to understand that there is no safety net here. Only the rest in name, which doesn't stop blades. Guards watch from the tower, their eyes widening as they spot the new arrivals. Ura, the lucky bastard, has actually brought back something valuable for once. Or so they think. Open the main gate. Ura screams, his voice cracking with a fear he's pretending is excitement. The guards look down, sensing something is off, but greed is a very effective blindfold. They watch Urha lead the prisoners toward the heavy wooden doors. The trap is sprung, but the bandits are the ones walking into it. They just don't know it yet. A long, wide shot of the courtyard reveals the scale of the operation. This isn't a camp, it's a barracks, and it smells like more than just wood smoke and rot. The gate groans open. One guard is suspicious, but his partner brushes it off. You're being too sensitive, he says. Famous last words in a world where children can be monsters. They step into the courtyard. The air is thick with the sound of steel being sharpened and the low murmurs of men who have forgotten what a home looks like, a nest of vipers. The other bandits watch them pass, their eyes full of a dark, hungry anticipation. To them, the boys are just gold and entertainment. They have no idea they're already dead men walking. Ura keeps moving, his eyes darting toward the main building. He's a man walking a tightrope over a pit of fire. One wrong word and the silver-haired boy will end him before he can even blink. Karen scans the area, his blue eyes taking in every face, every weapon, every exit. He's not scared, he's just waiting for the right moment to turn this place into a tomb. Leo just hopes he survives the process. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The air grows cold, and a low, rhythmic humming vibrates through the ground. Karen senses it first, a dark, pulsing red aura of magic. The real game is about to begin. Urha stops, his back tense. Even a man like him can feel the wrongness in the air now. The shadows in the corners seem to move on their own, fed by something ancient and hungry. The boys stop dead. In front of them, the true nature of this bandit camp is revealed. It's not a hideout, it's an altar, and the cost of entry is paid in blood. Dead crows are nailed to the wooden posts, their hollow eyes staring at nothing. Sacrifices for a power that doesn't care about the living. Pure, unfiltered black magic. Standard bandit behavior? Definitely not. Leo looks away, his stomach churning. Karen doesn't blink. He's seen worse, but the presence of this magic confirms his suspicion. There's a mastermind here, and they aren't just looking for gold. In the center of the courtyard, a massive black magic circle blazes with a hellish red light. The ground is soaked in blood, and the air is thick with the scent of ozone and death. This isn't a mission anymore, it's a war. The trap is set. Michael Knox welcomes the young mad dogs of the Reston family to his fortress. Karen Reston walks into the circle without a flicker of fear. Rohan, their bald bodyguard, is the first to feel the shift. Skeletons claw their way out of the mud. The warm welcome was a death sentence. Surrounded and outnumbered, Rohan and Leo Reston brace for a massacre, but Karen Reston remains unnervingly still. Karen Reston's eyes are cold as ice. He orders Leo Reston to draw his blade. No panic, no hesitation. Just business. A legion of skeletons rises, weapons ready. They are unmoving, waiting for the order to tear flesh from bone. Rohan is sweating. He realizes they've walked into a slaughterhouse, and the odds are impossible. The magic circle glows a blood-red light. They are trapped in the center of an arena, toys for a trader's amusement. Leo Reston and Rohan brace for the onslaught. They wait for a command that might never come. High on the balcony, Michael Knox watches his trap close. He sees two children and a guard, not the monsters they truly are. Michael Knox smiles down at his prey. He thinks he's already won. It's a classic mistake. Karen Reston looks at the skeletons with nothing but disdain. Creepy? Perhaps. A threat? Not even close. Then, the unthinkable. Karen Reston turns his blade on his own guard, Rohan. He doesn't want protection, he wants leverage. Leo Reston is horrified. Taking your own man hostage is a move so dishonorable, it's genius. The arena goes silent. Archers on the walls, skeletons in the mud. Everyone is frozen by the boy's sudden insanity. Michael Knox's smug grin vanishes. This wasn't in his script. He's dealing with a lunatic, not a noble. Karen Reston holds the sword to Rohan's throat with the steady hand of a veteran killer. He's showing them that rules don't apply here. Michael Knox tries to maintain his composure, but the sweat on his brow tells a different story. The hostage situation is just a psychological game. Karen Reston is letting the tension fester until it breaks them. Even the skeletons are confused by the internal betrayal. Rohan can only stutter an apology for being caught in the middle of this madness. The dead close in, but they hesitate. The boy's aura is more terrifying than the magic that summoned them. Karen Reston looks up at Michael Knox. As long as the commander is confused, the archers won't fire. He's in complete control. The blade is drawn back. Karen Reston is done playing the victim. He's ready to show them why the Restons are feared. Michael Knox begins to tremble. He realized too late that he's not the hunter. He's the prey. Leo Reston can only watch in paralyzed awe. He finally realizes the truth. His younger brother is a monster draped in a child's skin. Then, the air snaps. Blue mana erupts from Karen Reston, a surge of raw power that defies logic. The predator is finally awake, and his eyes are locked on the commander. Karen Reston leaps. Blue mana swirls around his blade. The target is clear, the balcony. In the courtyard, Leo Reston holds his ground. Skeletons are nothing more than target practice for a true noble. Cold focus. Karen Reston's eye glows with a power that shouldn't belong to a 10-year-old child. Blue mana erupts with the intensity of a dying star. This is where the game ends for Michael Knox. Michael Knox screams for his archers to fire. Desperation is a loud noise, but it's too late. The blue wave is already upon them. Herring. A sword style for those who deserve to drown. Karen Reston's smile is colder than the steel in his hand. Sword wave. The balcony shatters under the pressure. Wood, blood, and arrogance fill the air in equal measure. Michael Knox falls. Damn brat, he says, his pride still refusing to recognize the predator standing over him. Karen Reston lands gracefully. Such a nuisance. The trash still needs to be swept. Michael Knox stares into the abyss of Karen Reston's cold gaze. The abyss stares back, and it's holding a blade. On his knees, where a traitor and a coward belongs. Michael Knox is broken, and the silence in the fortress is deafening. Karen Reston looks down. No mercy, no pity. Just a cold calculation of how to maximize the man's suffering. Michael Knox is bleeding. His confidence has been stripped away, replaced by raw, pathetic terror. Karen Reston turns his head. The commander is pathetic. The show is almost over. Leo Reston continues the slaughter in the courtyard. He's efficient, but he lacks his brother's surgical cruelty. Another skull shatters. Leo Reston is holding the line, proving that the Reston blood flows just as strongly in him. Sabina Reston's voice echoes from above. She praises the Sea Wave sword, acknowledging the strength that has crushed the enemy head-on. Karen Reston listens. He knows his master is watching. Every move must be perfect. Michael Knox tries to look up, but his body is failing him. His pride is already dead. The blade finds its mark. Karen Reston plunges the sword into Michael Knox's leg, pinning him to the spot. Pain is the best reminder of status. This is the face of a god of war. Karen Reston's smile is wrong, a sadistic expression that belongs on a much older killer. You're obedient. I like that. Karen Reston has found a new toy to break, and he intends to take his time. Michael Knox can't even find the words to beg. The realization of his own insignificance has finally landed, and it hurts. Silence settles over the fortress. Karen Reston looks upon the wreckage he's made, his dangerous resolve burning quiet and steady. Leo Reston delivers the crushing blow to the final skeleton. The immediate threat is over, and the unnatural red glow of the arena begins to dim. Leo Reston catches his breath as the magic circle fades into nothing. The skeletons are back where they belong, in the dirt. The light of the clash is blinding. Leo Reston can only stare as the dust of the battlefield begins to settle around them. The outpost is in ruins. Michael Knox's men lie scattered and broken. The Mad Dogs didn't just win, they erased the opposition. A new presence enters the courtyard, cold and dominant. She carries the severed head of the Black Wizard like a common trophy. Sabina Reston. She doesn't look like a savior, she looks like a judge. Her eyes hold the weight of someone who has seen too much and cared too little. Rohan and Leo Reston are frozen in place. Ah, master, the relief is short-lived. A scolding from Sabina Reston is usually worse than a skeleton's axe. Karen Reston isn't finished. He delivers a contemptuous kick to the fallen Michael Knox. The traitor is trash, and Karen treats him as such. Michael Knox hits the ground hard. Sabina Reston isn't impressed by the victory. To her, charging in blindly is a sin, no matter the result. The pressure of her mana is suffocating. Sabina Reston doesn't need a sword to command the air. She just exists, and the world bows. Karen Reston stands over the crawling commander. Michael Knox has lost everything. His fortress, his pride, and his future. You urge. Michael Knox can only groan in the dirt. Sabina Reston looks down at him, questioning Karen Reston's hostage tactic with a sharp, judgmental tongue. The interrogation begins. Sabina Reston and Rohan watch the boy who has just broken a commander's spirit. They are looking at a monster they helped create. Karen Reston gives a polite, "Thank you." It's the manners of a noble covering the soul of a butcher. The contrast is the most dangerous thing about him. The Black Wizard's head sits in the snow, a silent witness to the Reston family's cruelty. Michael Knox is just another name on a very long list. Michael Knox looks at the severed head and realizes his mistake. He thought he was playing a game of power. He was actually just waiting for his turn at the block. Since the chapters are over, I will bring you more if you enjoyed. Activate the cheeky little bell and out.